Good evening, everyone, and welcome to today's session. We'll be discussing a very practical and very important topic today, and that is will. And we have got Mr. Khandakar Omar Farooq, solicitor and barrister, and director of Avista Solicitors. Welcome, Mr. Farooq.
Thank you very much, Dadip.
So, yeah, let's get started without wasting any words. So, my first question to you is, what is an will? That is a very common question we heard from the clients every single day.
Jadip, to put it simply, a will is your wishes. Wishes means if you have property, assets, possessions, what happens after you die? So, will is your wishes. What happens after you die? And after your death, if you have property, possessions, savings, assets, it will be distributed according to your wishes. That's called will. If you don't have a will, that's a different thing. The property might go to even the crown. Mm. So
Okay,
will
so
so
yeah,
will basically your wishes. What happens after you die to your assets?
thank you. So, yep, the next question comes automatically is why it is so important to make it. I think you have explained a bit, but if you just explain a bit more about it.
Well, if you don't have a will, and obviously you love your children, you love your near and dear one, and you like to leave your assets to your near and dear ones. So if you don't have a will, then what happens? Then the property will be distributed according to the intestacy rule, which means the law will come into force, come into effect. If you have a will, your wishes, your desires will take effect. If you don't have a will, the law will come into effect and it will be distributed according to the law of intestacy. Say, for example, if you don't have any relative or dependents or well wishers and you don't have any will, so what happens? Your property, possessions, valuable assets, which you have worked for which you have worked so hard, it will go to the crown.
And you're talking about intestacy rules. So if there is no will, I mean, I was thinking, what will happen to the stepchildren or someone who is just cohabiting with you, living with you without any merit or legal status?
They are not entitled to have any property, any assets you leave after you die.
Okay, so thank you. That was very, I mean, to the point. So, so that means will is a means of distributing the property in a proper way. Okay, so what is the right time to make a will?
Well, it is also always advisable to have a will after you are 18 and you have some sort of assets like savings, property, possessions. Also, um, if your circumstances changes, like you buy a house, you have a expensive car or any car, and you should have a will. So we advise as soon as you turn 18, and if you own any asset, whatever asset, you should have a will because um, in this world, life has got no guarantee. We can die anytime. Well, um, and after we die, if we have a will, obviously your wishes will take effect. So the law will not come into effect.
All right, and can just anyone make their own will?
Well, they can make will, but we advise to take professional advice because we often see homemade will is not a valid will, and there arises a lot of disputes after that. But there is no hard and fast rule that you cannot do will at home as long as you follow the proper procedure.
All right. So yes, we have seen people making will. I mean, probably 20 years, 25 years ago. and they now come to us saying that, okay, probably I need to change it or not. They ask for advice. How often do you think that we need to, I mean, the clients need to review their will or change it?
Well, there is no hard and fast rules how often the will needs to be reviewed, but we advise every few years, especially because your asset, property, possession, savings is always changing. So we advise to review the will every few years, especially with your you acquiring new property, you got married, you got children, you got divorced. We always ask after all these events happen to review the will.
Thank you. And now I want to go, I mean, between the content of the will a bit. So, you know, the parties, the will maker, beneficiaries, all those things. And there is one important person or party, whoever, whatever you say, it's the executor. So if you just say something about the executor,
Well,
what?
in your will, you can make your any family friend or family children who you can trust. The executors or executrix job is simply to administer your estate according to your will. So you can make executor anyone, to be honest, as long as you trust him or her.
So can a professional, I mean, firms like solicitor firms become an executor?
Of course, that's even better. Obviously, there will be some cost, but when a solicitor or a professional makes is being made executor or executrix, then it's added peace of mind, because they know what they're doing, and also your wishes are safe, and they also remind you if there needs to be a review of your will from time to time. So it's always better to join a professional as an executor. You can also um, add more than one executor or executrix. Also, they can act jointly or severally. You can also make substitute executor, executrix. It's a lots of um, options you have.
All right, thank you. So yes, another thing that always comes into question is the tax. You know, there's 40% inheritance tax. It's a burden on anyone, and there is no escape from it. So how will can manage it? I
Well,
mean, a well drafted, not only a will, a well drafted will, of course.
yes. Um, well-drafted will with proper planning can save your near and dear one's best interest. And it's always advisable to use a professional so that um, the maximum tax can be saved, and which goes to your children or family members. So with proper planning, it's possible to save tax.
Okay, so you have already told us that it's a mechanism to divide the properties among the beneficiaries. What if there is a dispute between them?
Well, this is very common. Dispute happens, but again, we see a lot of times the testator, I mean, who makes the will after his or her passing,
Hmm.
we find that this is a very old will and it's not been reviewed probably 40 years, and so many changes happen during this time, and that leads to disputes. And obviously, nobody expect dispute, but it happens. But with a careful planning and a proper will, with the professional guidance, it can be avoided.
Hmm. And in addition to the UK properties, can we also add the foreign, I mean, properties in the abroad in the will?
You can add property situated anywhere. That's not a problem. It will cover every sort of property anywhere situated.
Thank you so much. So, how can Avista help in this regard?
Well, to be honest, especially people from our community, Asian community, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, Sri Lanka. Um, Probably, I don't know. It is a cultural issue. They don't bother about the will. They rely on the fate. But um, obviously, to protect your children's and dependents' best interest, it is advisable to have a will in place so that they don't have to go through all this process, you know. And also, if you have a will, and then a lot of um, extra cost can be saved. That's why we Avista solicitors always advise whoever client coming, like client in immigration, civil or personal injury, we always advise, ask them, do you have a will, Mr. or Mrs. or Miss? If you don't have a will, prepare it. It doesn't cost much. We charge like a fixed fee, just a minimum fixed fee, but it will save you a lot of hassle. Save you basically save your beneficiaries, which your loved ones, near and dear ones, children. They will save it from a lot of hassles and um, difficulties. So we advise to have a will as soon as possible. And if you need our help, we can assist. And this is not very expensive. It's very modest professional fee we charge. So if you need any help, you can always contact us.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Farooq, for your nice and exquisite observation. So I hope the everyone has got some information about the will and what they need to do. With proper planning and proper drafting, a will can help in many way. It can, uh, I mean, you can just divide the properties, your properties, of course, in a proper way to the proper beneficiaries, and also there will be loads of tax issues you can resolve with a proper drafted will. So yes, thank you, Mr. Farooq, for attending today's session and giving your kind observation. And of course, last but not the least, for detailed guidance or if any specific advice, we always encourage people to contact legal consultants who has got knowledge in that proper section, and in this case, will. So it is always recommended to get legal advice whenever needed. So, and I believe that's where Avista can help, as you have explained.
Just
And
before we draw a conclusion to this session, I like to let your viewers know that in the next episodes, we will be also discussing about two more important topics. One is power of attorney, and the other one is probate. This is not only for our own business purpose advertisement, it's for the benefit of the wider community, because a lot of people I frequently ask, and they said they have got no idea about this. These are very important. So we'll be please stay tuned for the next weekend. We will be discussing about those topics.
that's so kind of, and definitely we'll discuss about it. And I believe our time is finished and we need to say goodbye. Thank you again for attending into the session and have
Thank
a
you,
nice
and
weekend.
thank you, viewers. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Bye.
Have a lovely weekend as well.